Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Crowe, one of the founders of Mitten Getaways Glamping Company. Thanks for tuning in to our podcast, The Mitten Minute, produced by Woodall's Campground Magazine and sponsored by Outdoor Alliances, which provides digital marketing services to campgrounds, RV parks, and glamping properties. This show is all about our journey, my wife and mine, to open a glamping resort here in eastern Michigan. You can learn more about what we have planned at mittengetaways.com. Since this episode will air the day before the glamping show, I thought I'd wear some of the same swag that I'd have on at the show, including this white hat. So if you're there and want to catch up, look for the guy in the white hat. Today I'm going to tell a story. It's about us being approached by landowners to potentially work together on our glamping resort. If you missed our past few episodes, I'll catch you up. We're back to searching for land. And in last week's episode, we talked about a new strategy to do that. But even before the new strategy came about, a dentist owning nearby land filled out the Contact Us form on our website. This happened a couple months ago while Melissa and I were glamping across the state in South Haven for our anniversary weekend. And here's what the submission said. Hello, we have 300 acres in Howell that we currently use as a verbo and some hunting groups. We've been interested in camping options for a while, and I read your article in the newspaper. I know it is a lot of work. I would be interested in discussing using our property, which has a river and connects to state land. Please let me know if you are interested in discussing further. We would be happy to discuss working with you in the future. Needless to say, we were interested in learning more. I gave him a quick call to chat and make sure we were both on the same page. It seemed that we were. I learned that his father-in-law, also a dentist, was involved and was in fact the primary landowner. The family lived about an hour and a half away, and the property had mainly became a business or income source. In addition to the hunting lodge, they also leased over 100 acres of farmland to an area farmer. That initial call went well, and we set up some time to talk in more detail a few weeks later, this time with both he and his father-in-law on the phone. Since our first chat, I had time to come up with some requirements that would kind of be deal breakers if they didn't work out. Number one, the farming on the property would have to cease. We knew this would interfere with the peacefulness for our guests, especially during planting and harvesting time. Number two, the hunting lodge and the hunting club would have to cease. While we have nothing against hunting, we couldn't have hunters on the property simultaneously with our glamping guests, both for safety and peacefulness reasons. Number three, the farmhouse being used as a lodge would need to be turned over to us to live in as we operate the resort. And number four, we would have to have full creative control over the resort development. We have our vision, and we're pretty convinced that it will do well. And thankfully, they seemed agreeable to these terms and understanding of the reasons behind each one. The next step was them requesting to look at our pro forma, which we agreed to share. We gave them some time, maybe a week. Then I tried following up for next steps. I texted the son, who was my main point of contact, and didn't get a response. Another text, no reply. I called him, no answer. This went on for a few days. I thought we had been ghosted. Finally, though, we did receive a reply via email stating that the father had reviewed the information provided but was not interested at this time. What? We were surprised. How could they not be interested? Clearly, they missed the potential in glamping. I had to talk more with him, the son-in-law, to understand more of their reasoning, or from my perspective, the lack thereof. So another week of unanswered calls and texts, and I finally decided one more try in the form of an email. I used "please reconsider" in the subject line. In the email, I shared my confidence with our business model. I started off stating, you and your father-in-law are clearly business-minded, and I'm confident that our business model on your land would generate far more revenue than the current farming and hunting operations you have there. I explained our investment in the business, that we're all in, both mentally and financially. With our due diligence and the research that we've done, we constructed a business plan and a website, both of which have received praise from across the industry. And we have thousands of followers and continue to grow. We have the right people lined up, from engineers to legal support. I talked about what I believed would add to our credibility. Me having founded the Genesee County Pharmacists Association, serving as president and chair of the board of the Michigan Pharmacists Association, opening a pharmacy and growing its revenue from nothing to over $100 million a year in just over 3 years, that we were American Glamping Association members, had gone to the glamping show. We completed the RVAX Campground Owners Workshop and have gained area press coverage. Just trying to state that we're persistent, we're resourceful, committed, tried to get the point across, and I concluded with a request asking, would you please help us realize this dream and share in the rewards of it? What happened? Well, that email opened the door. We finally got a response. The Sun asked for a proposal containing 4 items. 1, what the land lease monthly payment would be and the term of the lease, what the home lease monthly payment would be, if a financial investment would be needed of them, and a revenue/profit sharing percentage. We were back in play, I thought. I immediately sat down and put together a proposal and ended up giving them 3 options to consider. In my mind, I had to do my best to come up with a floor and a ceiling. The floor was, to me, the current net income of the property. I had to assume the landowners were making a profit from farming and the hunting lodge minus their property taxes. I considered property taxes to be a wash since they carry over to our glamping resort. So I just considered farming and hunting. Farming was relatively easy. I knew the acreage being leased to the farmer and the per acreage leasing rates approximately that are available in public databases. And it wasn't much. So I think farming I estimated to be about $10,000 per year. The hunting lodge was less clear. The Verbo listed the lodge at $546 a night. But the owners also have a reservation system set up on their own website. And it appears that the only option is to book a 2-day, 1-night lodging hunt. And that is $2,400 per person. So if you go with someone else, it becomes nearly $5,000 for 1 night. And I don't understand it. And I didn't have a chance to talk with them about it. I talked with area hunters and they balked at the price too. So I have no idea how much they're making from hunting. And further complicating things was the seasonality of hunting. Even if they were finding guests at those rates, it wouldn't be year round. I had to make some assumptions here, really. So I reasoned that they were thriving at these rates, or I reasoned that if they were thriving at these rates with the hunting business, that they wouldn't have reached out to us. So all in all, I attributed $68,000 in annual revenue from the hunting and the lodging based on 50% occupancy and the VRBO nightly rate. And I thought that was generous. So between hunting and farming, I said $80,000 was the floor. We had to come in higher than that to make this more attractive with the glamping resort. The ceiling was the max we were willing to pay or give up. In my mind, we needed some comparables for this. But when you're dealing with a 300-acre parcel, there aren't a lot of properties to compare it to, let alone ones with recent sales. Fortunately, months earlier, a very similar piece of land that we actually considered, we even tried to look at it, was sold. It was slightly larger, almost 400 acres, and had thousands of feet of river frontage along the same river. It was just minutes away from this other property. I was able to use its sold price and acreage to determine a rough value for the land in question, and it helped me determine what a reasonable monthly price might be. I came up with those 3 proposals that I mentioned. One was lease heavy and one was profit sharing heavy, and then one was in between. The more profit sharing there was, obviously, the greater the risk since we are a startup, but also we set it up so that there was a greater potential income for them. The lease heavy one included a land lease at $5,000 a month and a home lease at $1,200 a month, along with 12% profit sharing. And this amounted to about $100,000 in year one, growing to about $130,000 in year three for the landowner's share. The profit sharing heavy one removed the land lease altogether, made the home rental only $500 a month, and gave up 35% of the business profits. And this was expected to result in $80,000 of income in year one, but then grow to $150,000 in year three. In all three scenarios, the financial investment of the landowners was totally optional and would have been at the same rate of return as other investors. So I drafted these proposals up and sent them over. This time I didn't have to wait as long for a response. Just 3 days. Unfortunately, again, the answer was the same. Not interested at this time. It was a real letdown. Nevertheless, we expect there's a reason that land didn't work out, just like the others. We're continuing our land search today. And as we talked about in last week's show, we encourage our listeners to check out our real estate page that we set up. It's at mittengetaways.com/real estate. And see if there's an opportunity to help. Maybe you own land or maybe you know someone who does. And we greatly appreciate everyone who has helped us so far and anyone that takes a look at it in the future as well. So that's our show for today. It didn't work out. Hopefully that story is helpful to someone or at least interesting. If you do have ideas for future podcast episodes, you can submit them at mittengetaways.com/reach out or email us at glampers@mittengetaways.com. The Mitten Minute, our glamping journey, is produced by Woodall's Campground Magazine and is sponsored by Outdoor Alliances. Check out all episodes of the Mitten Minute podcast at mittengetaways.com/minute. Follow our journey in other ways at mittengetaways.com/links. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week or in the next couple of days at the glamping show. Take care.